Welcome to episode 3 of the Chewy Decimal International Cooking Show, brought to you by the Eastham Library and the Friends of the Eastham Library. My name is Elaine Lipton and I will be cooking for you today, and today we're going to talk about Japanese food. I lived in Japan for 10 years and learned to cook every day with what was available to me in the grocery store, and that of course meant I was cooking a lot of Japanese food. We're very lucky to be here on Cape Cod because, of course, one of the things that is a staple of Japanese food is fish. If we can't get anything else on Cape Cod, we are generally able to get really nice fish. We're going to look at some more home-cooked foods today and things that people eat at home on a regular basis. There are very few real ingredients that you need to make Japanese food and to make it well, and I do have some of these things here. Sake, which gets used like wine does in French food. Soy sauce, which is a necessary ingredient in almost all Asian foods. I use low sodium soy sauce, but you're welcome to use whatever you're comfortable with. Tamari, if you like to have soy sauce that has no gluten in it. A necessary thing to have in the house if you're going to cook Japanese food. Something called mirin. Mirin is a sweetened rice wine. It's not alcoholic, but it is a sweet, syrupy rice wine. All of these things can be found in your grocery store on Cape Cod. Not necessarily in this size bottle, but you can find it there. They're in the Asian food section. Sake, you probably need to go to your local liquor store for. You can buy rice vinegar, both seasoned and unseasoned. I brought just the seasoned with me today. Sesame seeds, also you can buy in the grocery store. Wasabi, which I have as a powder, but you can buy tubes of pre-made wasabi in your grocery store. Tofu, which also you can buy in the refrigerated section of your grocery store. Bouillon, but it's a fish bouillon. This is a dashi bouillon. So you can make dashi with seaweed and fish flakes and salt and water. You can make your own dashi very easily, but when you're cooking and you just want to do this quickly like you do when you use bouillon sometimes, you can buy it. This is freeze-dried. It's just a powder. And it's very easy to add to dishes if you need dashi in your dish. This is something I think you can also buy in the grocery store. It's called shichimi or nanami togarashi. It's a hot pepper mix that's got some sesame and some other spices in it. And I'm pretty sure you can get this here also. This is about as spicy as Japanese food ever gets. All right, it's not like Sichuan food or Korean food even. It's not very spicy, hot spicy. But this is a spice mix that does often get just sprinkled on the top of your ramen or on top of your fried chicken to make it, just give it a little bit of a heat. Daikon radish, very easy to find in the grocery store. Often there'll be much bigger pieces. I don't generally like the big pieces because I can't use up enough of it, but places will sell you pieces of it as well. Bamboo shoots, which you can buy in cans sliced up for Chinese food, but you can use them as well. I have gotten these at a Japanese grocery store. They're whole bamboo shoots that are just vacuum packed in water and salt, or just in water. I use them, I cut them up into thicker chunks and use them in dishes that I'm braising generally. This is something that you might not see in a lot of places. Again, I get it in a Japanese grocery store or a Chinese grocery store. If you go to Kanman in Quincy, you can buy this fresh. You take it's lotus root. It looks kind of like, I don't know if you can see it. One of my new favorite cookbooks is a cookbook that is called the Gaijin Cookbook. And it's a great cookbook. It was written by a man who moved to Japan, an American man who moved to Japan and actually opened 2 very successful ramen restaurants in Tokyo. The first thing we're going to make today is a spinach dish that will go with our meal. And what we've done is we've taken some spinach and we've microwaved it so it's cooked. You can do this in a pot if you want to. The idea is to cook it so that you can then take it and put it on the bamboo roller that you would normally make sushi on, and roll it up, and you're going to squeeze a lot of water out of it. So I do this on a paper towel just so that it's as dry as we can get it. And let's get a plate for it. Now I have seen recipes for this where you mix the spinach with the seasonings. There's our rolled spinach, right? We're going to cut it just like it was sushi. Put a very little bit of soy sauce. Normally, if I were doing this at my table, I would have a tiny little soy sauce pitcher. And then we'll sprinkle sesame on it. And you can pick those up and eat them just like they were a piece of sushi, but it's just vegetable. Okonomiyaki. Yaki is fried, and okonomi really is whatever's in the refrigerator. So it's a dish that you can put almost anything in. But the main ingredients, it's a pancake that you can put almost anything in. The one thing it needs to have is cabbage. And I'm basically going to shred it. We're going to mix our cabbage with some scallions. We're also going to use our batter mix with eggs. We're going to use, the recipe calls for 2 thin slices of pork belly, and if you don't have pork belly, to use uncured bacon. So we're using uncured applewood bacon and a couple of shrimp, which just all happened to be in my refrigerator. So we're going to cut up some scallions. If you like watching Japanese cooking videos, there's a great cooking show you should look up on YouTube called Cooking with Dog. We're going to mix the batter up until it's smooth. Then we're going to put in our cabbage, our scallions, and our egg. And then we're going to mix it up so that it's fully mixed, but we mix fairly gently. So that's what we look like when we're all mixed up with our cabbage and our egg. And we're going to come over to the stove. We're going to put some water in our frying pan, and we're going to use half of that batter with some bacon and some shrimp and make a pancake. We have enough batter for 2 pancakes. And the way the size of them will be, we'll use the shrimps cut in half and the bacon cut in half. So I've put a couple of tablespoons of vegetable oil in the bottom of a frying pan, and I'm heating that to a fairly high heat. I'm going to use half of my cabbage mixture in the first pancake and then half in the second pancake. Okay, so our oil is now hot enough. We're going to put half of the pancake batter into the pan. And we're going to spread it out a bit just to make it as much of a nice round pancake as we can get. Not too thick, not too thin. I'm going to turn the heat down a little because we don't want it to cook too fast. And you want to cook it for 3 or 4 minutes on the first side until it starts to brown underneath. It does help when you're cooking this to have spatulas that are made for flipping, because you will flip this pancake and it helps a lot if you have them. All right, it's starting to brown. While it's cooking, you're going to take the 2 pieces of bacon that you've got set aside to use, and you're going to put them on the top of the pancake as it's cooking, as well as the shrimp. So your pancake will be halfway cooked at least before you flip it. And there you have it, your okonomiyaki. So the next thing we're going to make is something called karaage, which is fried chicken. And what we use for fried chicken in Japan is, if at all possible, skin-on, boneless thighs. Very hard to find here. So what I have done is gone and purchased bone-in thighs with skin and deboned them. Not so hard to do, but necessary if you want the skin. I have made this dish with boneless, skinless thighs. I have made this dish with boneless, skinless breast meat. I have made this dish with chicken wings. You can do anything you want, but traditionally it's skin-on, boneless thighs, cut into bite-sized pieces and marinated overnight in ginger, soy sauce, and sake. And this is what it looks like. And what we're going to do is heat some oil and fry these pieces and drain it on a board with some paper towel underneath it to just catch any extra oil. The most important part of this entire process, however, is before we fry the chicken, we're going to dip it in potato starch. Potato starch is something that, unlike regular wheat flour, it makes things really crispy. So there's a lot of things that are fried in Japan that you put potato starch in because it helps to make them crispy. And that's what we're going to do. This is a very traditional tempura pan, and we're going to use this to cook our fried chicken in. I'm going to put in about 3 inches of vegetable oil. I'm going to heat the vegetable oil to a point where it's not yet smoking, but when I put a little bit of the potato starch into it, it will bubble. Putting potato starch in a bowl. Something I have not yet done with this recipe, but I hope to try sometime soon, is to make this fried chicken in an air fryer. I'm going to leave the chicken in the oil cooking until it turns brown. Then we'll take it out and put it on a rack to cool. And what we'll do with the pancakes is we'll make a little grid of bulldog sauce. We'll make a little grid of mayonnaise. We'll put a little bit of a sprinkle of a sort of mild green seaweed. And some shaved dried fish flakes. That's what it looks like, ready to eat. And you have a meal. So here we have our completed fried chicken. And this is great for lunches, for picnics, for sitting and watching TV. It's just a fun thing to eat. We can put a little shichimi mix of spices on it. We can put a slice of lemon juice on it, and it's delicious. So here we have a rather elaborate but complete Japanese dinner. We have our rice here in the front and our side dishes that go with our rice. We have over here some raw scallop, soy sauce and wasabi if you want to dip them into soy sauce or wasabi. We have our fried chicken. We have some braised shiitake mushrooms and carrots. We have our braised kimpira, which is the gobo root and carrots, and you can see here the lotus root. For vinegar dish, we have some crab meat in a seasoned vinegar here in the bunny dish. Some pickled cucumbers. Some raw tofu in soy sauce with some ginger and scallions and fish flakes on it. It's a great summer dish because it's cold and fun to eat that way. And if you haven't ever had tofu this way, it's definitely worth a try. The spinach that we made earlier with soy sauce and sesame on it. And for dessert, we have these little cakes. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks to the Friends of the Eastham Library for helping put together these programs. I hope you enjoy your food. Remember, if you are looking for ingredients and you can't find them in your local grocery store, go to umamicart.com and order groceries, Japanese groceries from them. Bon appetit.